a wooden box. On November 4th, 2013, a Reddit user named TramStopDan shared an album on the What's in This Thing subreddit. The post was titled, "Large Box Full of Odd Illustrations of an Event," aka the box of crazy found by the trash bins. At first glance, it just looked like an old wooden briefcase, but inside? Total madness. The box was stuffed with hundreds of pages. UFO reports, weird machine blueprints, creepy hand-drawn demons, and a bunch of cryptic notes. All of it was done by some guy named Daniel Christensen. There were also maps, globe drawings, and so much messy writing that it felt like trying to read a conspiracy theory written during a mental breakdown. Some clues suggested Daniel might have been a World War II vet, which could explain the mental decline. But aliens? That obsession started way before that. Some papers went as far back as 1937, with others dating up to 1977. That's 4 freaking decades of alien madness, and you could actually see the mental spiral in his drawings. Early stuff was neat and clean, but his later sketches? Total chaos. One thing that really stood out was something Daniel swore happened on July 7th, 1977. According to him, a tornado hit Tampa Bay that day, but it wasn't a normal tornado. Nope. He said it was a cover for alien ships making contact. He even drew detailed pictures of what he saw, and it was seriously out there. The wild part? There's no record of any tornado or freak weather in Tampa on that date. But here's where it gets weirder. All of Daniel's drawings from that day focused on one place, the upside-down pyramid building at St. Petersburg Pier. And guess what? That exact building was lit up with a huge laser light show on July 7th, 1977. So most likely Daniel saw the lasers, lost his mind, and convinced himself aliens were landing, and that crazy box? It wasn't even all of Daniel's work. After the story blew up online, a Reddit user called That's My Box stepped up. She claimed she used to own that same briefcase, and she wasn't lying. Back in the 90s, she moved into a house that had a whole room full of Daniel's bizarre creations. One of them? A weird chair-like machine that, according to his notes, was used for time travel and out-of-body experiences. Sadly, most of his junk was tossed out, and that's how the infamous box ended up in the trash where TramStopDan found it. Makes you wonder, how much more insane stuff did this guy leave behind? The Cop We Trusted. 2 days after 20-year-old Kara Knott was found dead under a San Diego freeway bridge in December 1986, local TV aired something that now feels haunting as hell. It was a safety PSA from California Highway Patrol Officer Craig Pyer, warning women what to do if they broke down at night. He looked calm, caring, like a cop you'd trust. "Stay in your car," he said. "Lock your doors. Don't take rides from strangers. You could get raped or killed." Sound advice, right? Except he was the monster. That news clip set off alarms. Over 20 women called in saying this same cop had given them creepy vibes. They said Pyer pulled them over at night. Same Lonely Mercy Road off-ramp where Knott was killed. Some were stuck for 90 minutes while he grilled them with weird questions. One woman said he stroked her damn hair. Several had already complained about him, but the brass ignored it. Pyer's record looked clean. On paper. What nobody knew yet, Kara Knott had been strangled and tossed off that bridge by a cop. And guess what? The evidence started piling up fast. Pyer's patrol logs showed he constantly pulled over young women, especially on that same sketchy off-ramp. Not men, just women. Creepy pattern, right? Then they found fibers on Kara's clothes that matched Pyer's uniform. He had ropes in his car that looked exactly like the one used to kill her. His logbook for that night. Full of holes. Witnesses put him right near the crime scene, and in that news interview on TV, there were scratches on his face. When the reporter asked about them, Pyer gave a lame excuse. "I fell into a fence." Bullshot. Turns out Kara had clawed at her killer during the attack. Those scratches? They weren't from any fence. So cops arrested Pyer on January 15, 1987, just 19 days after the murder. Prosecutors said he lured Kara off the freeway, made a move, she fought back, and he killed her to shut her up. That helpful cop interview ended up screwing him in court. The guy who pretended to protect women was killing them instead. In 1988, he got slapped with a first-degree murder conviction, the first time a California Highway Patrol officer got locked up for murder while on duty. Still think that badge means safety? A live interview turned into a cold-blooded murder. January 18, 1993. A Telemundo news crew showed up at Our Lady Queen of Heaven Cemetery in North Lauderdale, Florida. Their goal? Interview Emilio Nunez, who had just lost his 15-year-old daughter, Yandra, to suicide. Reporter Ingrid Cruz and cameraman Jorge Delgado caught him on camera, placing flowers on the grave. But things got dark, fast. Emilio blamed it all on his ex-wife, Maritza Martin Nunez. He said she was the reason Yandra took her own life. And just as the crew wrapped up, Maritza showed up. She pulled into the cemetery, unaware that her bitter ex was already there. Emilio saw her, moved his car, and blocked her in so she couldn't leave. Maritza spotted his plate, knew it was him, and calmly walked toward her daughter's grave. Ingrid tried asking her about the suicide, but Maritza ignored her, and then... all hell broke loose. Emilio pulled out a 9mm pistol and shot Maritza in the back of the head, point blank. She dropped. He didn't stop. He fired 11 more rounds into her body while her 18-month-old son sat waiting in her car, just a few feet away. Jorge's camera, dropped on the ground, kept rolling. It caught Ingrid screaming and running for her life. It caught everything. The footage aired nationwide, showing Emilio fleeing the scene like a coward. A massive manhunt followed. Cops later uncovered their toxic history. Turns out Yandra had been 13 weeks pregnant when she died in late 1992. Emilio claimed Maritza let her new husband abuse Yandra, but police found no proof, just more rage. Maritza, scared for her life, had tried to get a restraining order before she was murdered. Too late. At Emilio's trial in 2000, his lawyer said he snapped because of the emotional interview, called it a crime of passion. The jury didn't buy it. They hit him with a first-degree murder conviction, life in prison eligible for parole after 25 years. Telemundo took heavy heat for airing the footage, but the network said they had no clue Emilio was about to murder someone on live TV. And that, right there, was the day a grieving father turned into a full-blown executioner. Google Translate. Near the end of 2017, some users on 4chan started messing around with Google Translate, and they found something really messed up. People typed in total gibberish, random letters like O and P over and over, and instead of throwing an error or saying, "Can't translate," Google Translate answered back like a freaking chatbot. It said things like, "Click the image to see more." Then people tried different combos like P and S. And boom! Out came what sounded like a snippet of someone's email. Weird, right? But it didn't stop there. The more people tried it, the creepier it got. Some messages told users they had a chronic disease. Others said they were infected with a virus and would experience pain. WTF? These weren't just lucky mistakes. These strings were random garbage, but the translations were too specific, too human. The obvious guess? A glitch. Maybe a random bug in how Google Translate processed languages, especially Somali to English, which was where a lot of the bizarre stuff came from. Could be the system just choked on nonsense inputs and spat out junk from nearby language data. But here's the thing. The junk wasn't random, it had structure. Sometimes it gave out Facebook links, email addresses, or even what sounded like a private conversation. One translation said, You'll be given the opportunity to be re-elected. Come to our country. That's not gibberish. That's eerily coherent. Like someone planted it there. Google? Dead silent. No statement. No fix announcement. Just poof. Gone. Some wild theories floated around. Like, was this Google Translate becoming sentient? A rogue AI trying to break free? Nah. Cool idea, but nah. More likely, a rogue employee. Maybe some bored engineer slipped some Easter eggs in the back end. Or maybe, just maybe, a glitch caused Translate to pull data from somewhere it shouldn't. Like Gmail, Google Docs, Drive, or Search. Billions of words fly through those systems every day. One wrong line of code and boom, private info leaks into Translate. Sounds insane, but it's technically possible, and it would be a massive security disaster if true. Since then, nothing. Users who tried to replicate it got nothing weird. Whatever caused the creepy messages got patched out quietly. But still, imagine this. Google Translate whispering private messages pulled from God knows where, hidden behind strings of nonsense. And no one knows why it happened. Now that's creepy as hell. The deadliest air show in history. July 27, 2002. Over 10,000 people packed into Sknyliv Airfield near Lviv, Ukraine. It was supposed to be a celebration, the 60th anniversary of the Ukrainian Air Force's 14th Air Corps. Families came to see the Ukrainian Falcons perform jaw-dropping stunts in their Su-27 UB fighter jet. But at 12:52 p.m., things went to hell. During a low-altitude roll, the massive jet suddenly dipped off course. Spectators watched in horror as its left wing scraped the ground. The pilot had lost control. The Su-27 skidded across the tarmac, smashing straight into a parked Il-76 cargo plane and exploding on impact. A fireball ripped through the crowd. Flaming debris rained down on screaming families. Camcorders captured the chaos. Limbs torn off, bodies hurled like rag dolls, blood everywhere. Survivors described children being crushed, parents howling through the smoke for missing kids. The pilots, Volodymyr Toponar and Yuri Yegorov, ejected seconds before the crash. They lived. 77 others did not. Among them, 28 children. Over 500 people were injured. Burns, broken bones, brutal trauma. It was pure carnage. At first, the blame landed on the pilots. Investigators said Toponar strayed off the flight plan, pulling stunts way too close to the crowd. In cockpit audio, he even asked, "Where are the spectators?" Like he wanted to impress them. Safety was an afterthought. But the pilots fired back. They claimed organizers screwed them over, gave them a bogus airfield map and denied a practice run. They said they were flying blind, improvising the whole time. It didn't matter. In 2005, a military court handed Toponar 14 years in prison. Yegorov got 8. 3 other officers got shorter terms. Toponar alone was ordered to pay $1.42 million to the victims' families. He never admitted fault, blamed engine failure and shady planning right to the end. But no excuse can undo what happened. To this day, the Sknyliv airshow disaster remains the deadliest airshow accident in human history. The creepy AOL data. Back in August 2006, AOL, yeah, that old-school search engine before Google crushed it, did something incredibly stupid. They uploaded a file on their site containing 20 million search queries made by over 650,000 users over 3 months. Nobody really knows if it was on purpose or some poor intern accidentally pushed it live, but the damage was instant. AOL tried to cover their asses by swapping real names with numbers like User 17 or User 812, thinking that would protect identities. Spoiler alert, it didn't. 3 days later, they yanked the file down, but by then the internet had already cloned the damn thing like wildfire. Most of the searches were boring stuff. Restaurants, vacations, weird rashes. But then came User 927, and his search history was like peeling back the mask of a serial killer. At first it was harmless. Music lyrics, flower types, healing time for a broken leg. Fine. But then his queries took a nosedive straight into hell. He started typing some seriously NSFW, illegal, and flat-out disturbing shit. No, it can't be said here. Not because it's a secret, but because it's so fed up. YouTube would set this video on fire. Over time, his searches got even darker, almost like watching someone spiral into madness through their keyboard. People on forums lost their minds over this guy. The creepiness even inspired a theater play about internet privacy and how much of our soul we spill into the search bar every day. And the wildest part? Nobody ever figured out who 927 was. Best guess? He lived in Colorado, thanks to a random search that linked to a Colorado state website. And based on how innocent and horrifying his queries flipped back and forth, it's possible he wasn't alone. Maybe a shared family PC, or maybe someone with two very different personalities. Either way, User 927 vanished into the void, but his messed up digital footprints are still out there. Live TV got hijacked. August 19th, 1987, a normal-ass Wednesday in Burbank, California. KNBC's 4 p.m. newscast kicked off like any other day. David Horowitz, their consumer guy, was on screen talking about some boring product safety crap. Then, boom! At 4:42 p.m., shit went sideways. A man walked right onto the live set, shoved a gun into Horowitz's back, and demanded he read some handwritten paper on air. That man was later ID'd as Gary Stallman, and holy hell, things got weird fast. With a gun pressed against him, Horowitz stayed ice cold. He pushed up his glasses, looked into the camera, and said, "On live TV? We have someone on the set who's standing here and would like me to read this copy, which was just handed to me." He tried to keep it calm, even asked the guy for his name. But viewers didn't see much more than that. After 28 seconds, the screen cut to an NBC logo with that classic technical difficulties message. What the viewers didn't know? The cameras were still rolling. Inside the studio, shit was still going down. Stallman kept asking if this was being broadcast. Newsflash, it wasn't. The station's boss, Tom Capra, had pulled the plug fast as hell, but poor Horowitz didn't know that. For the next 7 minutes, he stood there reading Stallman's freaking manifesto live to the crew. Some wild-ass rant about CIA clones, aliens, and government conspiracies. It was pure science fiction paranoia. The anchors next to him, Christy Wilde and John Beard, sat frozen, trying to act normal while SWAT teams circled the damn studio. They were getting updates through their earpieces like, "Don't move. SWAT is right outside." Then just like that, Stallman put the gun down. Surprise, it was a plastic BB gun. Couldn't shoot anything past 10 feet. Beard grabbed it instantly, and cops swarmed in. Done deal. So who the hell was this guy? Turns out Stallman was the son of a former KNBC reporter. He used his dad's name to sneak past security days earlier, probably lurking around, waiting for his shot at airtime. When they dragged him away, he told the cops he just wanted to expose the truth about his father being cloned. Mental illness? Yeah, diagnosed right after. He skipped jail and landed in a psych ward, thanks to a probation deal. KNBC got their broadcast back up by 4:49 p.m. and gave a brief, "Here's why we freaking disappeared" message. But the full 7-minute standoff? Locked in NBC's vaults. The public only saw the first 28 seconds. The rest? Buried. After that chaos, LA news stations slammed the security doors shut. Even KCBS admitted their building was tighter than a drum by the end of the day. Horowitz? He didn't just survive. He went on to fight for a ban on realistic toy guns. Because, yeah, no one wants another psycho waving around a plastic pistol on live TV again.